Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities and Music. Guys, today we're going to do the new Moby album, Destroyed. Moby, you don't know who he is. You haven't listened to music ever. Or Eminem, really, and I know everyone's heard the real Slim Shady. So, Moby, he does electronic music. This is, he's been around for, he's what popularized a lot of the more electronica, kind of moodier electronica music.
Techno stuff, too. And that actually kind of made him a controversial artist because a lot of people who were hardcore into the underground techno scene really thought that he kind of sold the genre out, whereas at the same time, you know, he brought it to a new audience, really popularized it, so there you go.
And what I love about Moby is, and what has been present on every Moby album, I've listened to them all, and I have found that mood is always the #1 feature on any of his albums, and he's huge into music therapy, and so you know you have these very emotional songs, and it's all about the instrumentals and the production, and the whole focus is on the mood. And songs, if they do present a lyrical idea, it's very, very minimal in context to the whole album. You'll have 1 or 2 lyrics that are repeated over and over again a lot of times in the songs, as several of these songs are. He also brings in, not necessarily guest artists, but not predominant. He'll only sing vocals on a couple of the tracks on the album, such as True on Destroyed. Now, the biggest thing that you have to note about Destroyed is that this thing's upwards of 70 minutes long. It's 15 tracks. There's like 3 tracks on here that are below 4 minutes long. That is a behemoth of an album. This is just a lot to take in, and it's very... very focused in its sound. You don't get a lot of variety in the types of sounds that you're going to hear on this album. It's all these songs that are just these big, loud crescendo pieces.
Starting out very ambient, then adding things here and there.
Now, what were your thoughts? Did you have specific items that you thought of here?
I want to point out, you know, Moby's intent behind this album, he kind of made this on the road when he was, you know, touring America late at night and stuff. And if you go to his website, he actually has this big, like, map with, like, photos of where he was touring, you know, that kind of pairs with the album. And in that context, I think he fits that mood well, because you listen to this and you think about just a guy alone on a tour bus at like 2 a.m. or something. And I mean, the mood is perfect. But at the same time, for me, what really stuck out after listening to this a few times is that there are some standout great tracks on here. But then there are also some that are just kind of like, eh.
And I think there's a couple weak tracks on here, too.
And given that, and given how long the album is, and just how much he packed onto this thing, there's just too much fluff to be justified. And he easily could have, I mean, the last 4 tracks, which aren't even necessarily like the worst.
No, I think some of them are strong tracks.
Exactly, but just to give you a piece of this, the last 4 tracks add up to over 20 minutes. And that's on a 15-track album. So you're through 11 tracks and you're like, wow, I've already listened to a hefty album. No, you got 20 minutes left, son. You got a ways to go.
Yeah, and I noticed that the first time through this thing. I mean, it was just, I was like, oh, I'm on track 11. I must be done. And then, no, there's 20 minutes left. But I don't know really how else to describe it for you. Moby could have taken this and broken this into pieces and made a much more focused album. He didn't choose to do that. He released this. This is actually streaming online at Moby's website, which we will link down below. And you can judge for yourself. I think that he could have made a more focused release, but I think that this was just what he was working on at the time, and he punched it out and gave it to his fans. I like it when artists do that. I don't think that an artist's discography, every single album should have to be amazing for the band to be good, because that kind of puts a lot of pressure on the band. They get into kind of spoon territory where they're making the same thing over and over again just to please critics. Not that that's what Spoon's doing, but all their albums have pleased critics. And I think that actually hurts the artist in the long run. So I'm glad that Moby's doing this, and he takes this one idea that he had that was present on 2000's 9 Wait For Me, and he just ran with it. And he took all of these songs like this. Now, one thing I noticed, Tito, was that a lot of these songs, or this album, Destroyed, is structured similarly to Play. You have a big single, the big single on this one, or a single-like song, track 6, The Day, where Moby sings. I really did not like that song. I thought it was easily the weakest track on here. Similar to Play, it had West Side on it, you know, right as the first third of the album is coming to an end, and then the last part of the album is more moody, and it kind of shifts into a lot of instrumental tracks that just are focused on establishing this mood. And but at the same time, with all the sounds, all the themes that you were seeing on Wait For Me, but Wait For Me was just a much more focused Moby album. And straightforward for that matter, where this is just these giant chunks that you have to digest. Personally, I think this is one that Moby fans will, and non-Moby fans alike, could put on and appreciate, but I don't think that this is Moby's strongest album, nor do I think that compared to all the other albums that are coming out right now, that this really stands up to the best of the best. I think that there's some things he could have trimmed it up, made it a lot more focused, and it possibly could have, but it didn't, so I'm going 68.
I'm going to go 65.
Yeah. And my score, I want to say, I just want to throw this out there to defensive Tom's score, because I think that's a great score for this album, is that I just am a true Moby fan. I love everything the guy touches, and I have for years, so I have a little bias there, right? And what do you guys like? I mean, Moby, a lot of people like Moby. Are you a Moby fan? What did you think of Destroyed? What were your favorite tracks off Destroyed? We would like to know, so leave us a comment at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, because that's where we do all of our chatting about music. We chat a lot, Tom and I do. Yep. We're always hitting up the Twitter, although I'm not this week. But please do that, and we would greatly appreciate getting a conversation started, because that's what we're all about. Because we are at VIMTV, I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are moving music critique forward.